Hello, everyone. I am Dan Stapleton, and I have Sid Meier here in the office for showing us his new Sid Meier's Starships game. But while I have you here, Sid, I figured I would make you force you to show us one of your classic games. Well, as we prepare for hopefully a new classic. This is Sid Meier's Pirates, which the original version of which, this is actually the remake, the 2005 remake, but the original version predates Civilization.
That's correct.
Which makes it sound super old now that I say that out loud.
Well, it is super old. It brings back some really great memories. It was a really fun game to make, but we definitely had to fight a lot of technological battles back in the days before Civilization. It was originally developed on the...
Still sounds really funny when you say it.
It was originally developed on the Commodore 64. The inspiration was partly a game that I'd been playing before that, Dan Bunton's Seven Cities of Gold. I thought that was just a masterpiece. The idea of this world that was created that was endlessly explorable and really fun to travel around in, and that was kind of one of the things I wanted to capture with Pirates, was that sense of the open world that you could go wherever you wanted to. It was also kind of a reaction to what we called in the day pick up the stick adventure games, where you'd say like go north, enter the room, open the drawer, there's nothing in the drawer. Look at the window, nothing at the window. Pick up the stick, get the stick. Really changed the paradigm for kind of this role-playing game to more of a movie idea, where you kind of move from one action point to the next. You only get to do the kind of important, cool things, and it's not about fighting with the parser and things like that. So we wanted to kind of explore the idea of adventure and role-playing in a game.
And you did it really well.
Thank you. It was also a time when we weren't constrained by genres, and we didn't have to be, either shooter or side scroller or RTS or whatever. We could kind of toss whatever we thought was appropriate into the game. And the other thing I think that worked with this game was that we threw away any idea of being historical and went with more the kind of romantic movie exciting view of piracy. There's no scurvy, there's no things like that, and I think those kind of ingredients put together was what made Pirates kind of a unique game for its time.
All swashbuckle, no scurvy.
Exactly. So this, as you mentioned, this is the remake, which we got to do with more than 16 colors even, and some really cool animations and things like that. It really kind of brings back some fun memories to see this version.
But it's kind of funny that now this version is 10 years old.
Yes,
we're running in 4:3 aspect ratio here. It's like the remake needs a remake.
I hear you. I'm remembering that the artist had a ton of fun with this game. I mean, it was just, you can kind of see it in the graphics, the way the happy quality to it, the characterization that they put into it. I think is something that I remember they really enjoyed.
That is a super handsome
together.
Frenchman on the left there.
All right, we'll go with the French.
Who can say no to that face?
Okay. Now these movies really hold up well. I'm surprised. It's really cool to see this again. And here, this was actually in the original Pirates. This was our protection scheme. You had to fight this initial sword fight, and if you had answered the question correctly before, it was really easy, and if you hadn't, it was very difficult. But we didn't want to let you know right away that you'd failed the protection. So it was kind of, protection was a whole nother issue back in those days. But I remember.
So it was hard, but like if somebody pirated Pirates and was really good at it, then they just earned that play session.
That's right. Then they got to even
made them work for it.
Here it's really to introduce you to what you're about to see. The kind of action, the over the top heroism of our leading character here.
And you managed to get through pretty much all this game without actually killing anybody, right?
That was kind of one of our philosophies in those days. No gratuitous violence, no gratuitous killing. And in the ship battles, we actually have all of the sailors kind of jumping off the ship before it sinks to save them. And the story was really designed to kind of one, set the scene in terms of your nemesis, that evil count, and also allow you to choose the path that you wanted, whether the nationality that you wanted to represent, the idea of your long lost relatives there that have become part of the story as you get further into the game.
And you do see like a lot of the legacy of this game carried on these days. Like Sunless Sea just came out that resembles this in a lot of ways, just kind of the adventuring from port to port.
It's probably the game that I get most reminiscences about when I talk to players. Talking about those days that I remember playing Pirates, and it's a game that for kind of some reason I think sticks with players, and I think it was kind of pretty innovative for its time, and it was a experience that you kind of remembered playing. This was our reaction to picking up the stick. Was to kind of give you just the really key options, the most important things that you could do when you were in town.
So what kind of a Pirates player are you? So are you going for the buried treasure? Are you going for plundering ships? What are you doing?
Certainly building up a cool ship to start with, and then kind of seeing what opportunities arise. I think that was always kind of the fun of Pirates. Is you had a couple of choices, as you mentioned. Do you want to go after the treasure? Is there a lost relative that you've got enough clues that you can track down? You can always trade, carry things from one place to the other, or the classic plundering of ships. Now I want to find out who the French here are at war with, so I know whose ships I should be plundering.
I like how you can even attack your own faction ship. Fantastic.
That's the openest of open worlds.
That's right.
Yes, I am interested to know that you are in war with the Spanish. Okay. Thank you for that information. Now, back in the original Pirates, we wouldn't tell you this, but as time went on, players needed a little more hand-holding. So we would try to give them all the information that they would need to kind of be successful early on. Even show them on the map where to go. Now, this map was actually a part of the original protection scheme in the original Pirates, and was printed on cloth, so you couldn't photocopy it. Just an example of the lengths we went to back in the day to worry about protection. But it also is. I've talked to people that passed geography courses based on their knowledge of the Caribbean, based on their play of Pirates. So there's a bit of learning and education involved in it.
You don't get that out of a randomized map in Civilization, unfortunately.
Right. Although the leaders are historical.
That's true. Gandhi is just a jerk.
A juicy Spanish bark. Excellent.
Yeah, there's a surprising amount of depth to this game with all the ship and crew management and cargo trading, and you could just be a trader in this game pretty successfully.
You can. There's a lot of different ways you can play. We always could use a few more crew members. So we'll talk to these guys over here.
Handsome
Certainly. Come on, gents. All right. Oh, they're so happy, so excited. The artist had a great time. Henry Morgan. He is big trouble.
Now, what I was just thinking about, I went back to play some of this last night to refamiliarize myself with it because it'd been a little while. But I was just thinking, I'd been playing Shadow of Mordor. I don't know if you played that at all.
I haven't seen that.
But Ken Levine was talking about how it's great for emergent storytelling. But one of the things that it did that really impressed me is how the orcs or the Uruks that you're fighting are kind of dynamically doing their own thing. I was like, I couldn't remember having seen that before. And then replaying this, it occurred to me the pirates in this, the pirate captains are doing the same thing. Like they're out there having their own adventures as you're playing, getting more powerful, and it's like you did that how 25, 30 years ago. It's
Yeah.
like that's well played.
So again, we get to see where Henry Morgan is. Another option we have, if we want to be bold, is to go after him. So again, you're creating your own story. That's really the heart of the game, is that you get to create your own story. We will. Do we need any more cannon? Let me see. I think we're good. Oh, all sorts of cool stuff here we could do. But let's go sailing. Yeah, that was an innovation with this game. Is this okay? Thank you, old Sid, 2005 Sid, for that advice. Okay.
The mouse works, but
yeah. Well, let me try. Actually, I'm happy with the mouse. Yeah, this world with all these ships sailing around was a real cool thing to create.
it's still impressive. Like there's the fact you've got all these dynamic systems, that these colonies can change hands.
Treasure
like,
ship. Whoa.
And as a result of your actions, there's just so much going on in this game. It's amazing.
It's English. Oh, what the heck. So, one of the kind of real discussion points here was scale. You know, you can never get the scale exact in a game. Oop. So you've got to cheat somehow. Either everything is, everything's very small in a true scale. Oh, I better fight this battle here. Whoa.
Yeah, numpad.
There we go. Now we're talking.
You might be outgunned here, but at least it's.
Yeah,
I guess you're not outgunned. You're same gun.
Ooh.
Just a much bigger ship.
Whoa.
How are you cheating on the scale?
Making everything really big and colorful. I think we kind of really bought into the idea of making it look as cool as possible and forget about realistic scale. And I think that worked well to create a real almost storytelling feeling to the
kind of a larger than life.
Oh, there. Yeah, just.
Oh, he's fine. He's fine.
He just jumped off.
The Coast Guard will get him later.
Take that. Whoa! Oh, the dreaded wind direction. That was.
Oh yeah.
So
if you were to make a new Pirates, would you have the
that's
like
a
kind
good
of
question,
semi-accurate sailing?
Now, when I was younger, I used to sail, so I thought wind direction was like, it's fundamental to sailing, but not everybody agreed. Oh, I love those explosions. Oh.
Holes in the sails and everything. Looks like you've disarmed him.
Yeah. I guess we should go in for the. Let's see, he's got 77 crew. I guess we'll go in for the sword fight.
They might surrender with that bad damage.
That would be good.
Nope.
Or not. Whoa.
I was playing this last night on. I started on easy just because I guess we're on easy now here
right,
as well.
Hopefully.
But these sword fights are they start out pretty easy, but they get hard later on. But they're nothing compared to the dancing game.
I have to apologize for the dancing game. Oh yes, I've still got it. The sword fighting was a lot of fun to write. I remember I had to convince the artists that they needed to let me speed their animations up or slow them down, because they had created these animations at a certain speed, and they said, no, you've got to play them at this exact speed. I said, no, I need for difficulty and for the interplay of the two characters, I need to be able to speed up and slow down their animations. They finally agreed to let me do that, but it's just kind of part of the development that
you're messing with their artistry.
Yeah. No, that's too fast. That's too slow. But for the sake of the game, if the game is fun, people will forgive an animation that runs too fast or that runs too slow. If it's not fun, they're going to start picking on those things. So, okay, quartermaster, excellent. I can always use more sailors. Although
money doesn't hurt either.
I've used that sound now in about 10 other prototypes. Clinking of the gold.
It's an oldie but a goodie.
Yes,
It's
yes.
even better than the just straight up ka-ching from the cash register.
So we'll. We got plenty of room, so we'll take all this stuff.
Sweet, sweet loot.
Take it all.
There you go. Yeah, keep it or sink it.
That's always. Well, I think we probably don't have enough cargo if we don't take this ship, so we'll take it. God, I love these animations. It's just so colorful. Now there she goes. All right. Oh, I forgot about this feature. Oh. This was actually... Oh, that reminds me. This game, we actually had an argument about whether it should be 2D or 3D. I was on the 2D side. This game was really created in the transition between 2D and 3D.
You're talking about the remake.
Yes, the remake. It's probably the first 3D game that we actually made it for Axis. I remember those. 3D is just a passing fad. We don't have the horsepower to support 3D. That's cool. Or
it is still a beautiful game.
Yeah, I think it. And the sails actually move to the right position based on the wind direction. That's one of the things I'm really proud of, is that as you sail into the wind, you tighten up the sails. Yeah, you can. Yeah. It is fun to look at. I love these little map legends in the world. It's very cool.
I have to say, I'm a big fan of the sailing in the wind direction until I'm trying to sail against the wind, and I just have to tack back and forth, and it's like, yeah, I like sailing too, but yeah,
it gets a little old. Yeah, I definitely the original had that issue.
Because this map is big.
It's a big world.
So
yes.
when you're just trying to get across it, it's like the wind's against me. Oh man.
All right, so I captured an English ship. The English are not going to be too happy with me here. I might sail back to my friendly. Now we actually used up on that wind thing. I can actually sail directly into the wind.
It's just real slow.
Not very fast, but.
I think in the tactical game it doesn't. You just stop dead in the water.
It is more severe in the tactical game.
But yeah, this game is a really interesting. It's interesting in that it's a good collection of a bunch of different games all bundled together, and you just don't see that happen very often. So many times, every time there's an attempt to bundle together a bunch of games like that, some of them are just bad, and it makes the rest of them not really worth it. This one doesn't really have that, even with the Unforgiving Dancing game.
Yeah, it's actually we have a rule which we call the covert action rule, which is whenever we're combining that's interesting. Whenever we're combining kind of a strategy game with a tactical game, that XCOM does that, Starships does that, this game does that. It's really fundamental to decide kind of where the center of gravity is. What part of the game are you kind of expect the player to retain in their mind, and in Pirates, it's really what we call the strategy game. This level, that the ship battles, the sword fights are kind of short enough that you can retain the story that you're trying to tell, even as you go in and out of the ship battles. With XCOM and with Starships, those tactical parts are much longer and much more engaging. So the strategy part needs to be a little cleaner, a little more fast-moving. Otherwise, oh, that was a cool dolphin. Wow. Otherwise, the player is kind of overwhelmed with trying to keep too many things in their head at once. And the reason we call it the covert action rule is because we think we had that problem in the game Covert Action, where you were trying to solve this international mystery, but at the same time you were doing these tactical action sequences where you were breaking into buildings and solving codes and things like that.
So I guess you just don't want to have people learn too many different complex games at once. You got one central complex game and then some simple games around it.
Exactly. And I think that, we didn't think about it at the time of Pirates, but it just turned out that the ship battles were fun, but they played out quickly enough, or the sword fighting or whatever it was you're doing kind of gave you that spike of adrenaline, and then you kind of went back to the main story and were able to carry on. This is a fun world just to sightsee. We should have put like a sightseeing mode in here or something. It's just a cool world to float around. Now I know all these things actually have adventures behind them, but
well, those are the landmarks for the treasure hunts, aren't they?
yeah, there's.
Or I guess that's a port.
Dutch port. Yeah, there's also an economy behind the whole world, and as you plunder the ships from a certain city, their economy will suffer.
Yeah, like a prosperous or poor. It's like I was I was just amazed going back to it. Like, oh yeah, all this stuff is in here. How is this so much more in depth than so many games today?
Well, we didn't know what we couldn't do. When we didn't know it was forbidden to mix genres. We didn't know that we couldn't put the game to work at all sorts of different levels. We didn't know the open world was going to cause problems. So we just kind of tried it all, and seeing that this is what kind of happened in your imagination in the original Pirates, and here we were able to kind of actually bring it to life visually, and that's really I guess it had been about 15 years before the original game, so it was high time for a remake. But I'm still impressed with how fun this game feels and looks and sounds. I think that the team that we had to make this game understood what the appeal of the game was, and were able to kind of really bring it to life with a lot of imagination and creativity. So it's very
It's actually pretty rare that you find a game that's like a 3D game, like relatively early 3D, that holds up well. Because so many of those games, like I go back and look at Jedi Knight, which at the time I thought was this mind-blowingly awesome game. Like the original Unreal is another example. It's like, oh my god, these games look fantastic, and then I look at them now and they're just hideous. Those are ugly games. But this one, like even the 3D parts, I guess this is probably mostly a 2D piece of art here, but like everything still looks pretty good. Except for that Frenchman.
Well, it's got a little bit of a low-res, fuzzy, almost a smoothness to it that actually makes the world look more appealing, and that depth of field there is actually very cool too that the artist put in.
So, would you say there's any trace of pirates in Starships? Besides the ships.
I think the variety of missions is influenced a little bit by Pirates. That idea of having this really cool variety of missions, having each engagement be different, take place in a different place. We were in Pirates. We had the Caribbean. We never did a random map version of Pirates, but we did randomize the placement of cities in that a little bit, each one. But I think the kind of spirit of combining a story strategy level with kind of individual tactical engagements that are different does carry over from Pirates to Starships. But in a weird way, I think Pirates almost stands alone in of the 7 or 8 kind of key elements. I don't see any other game with more than like 2 or 3 of them. I mean, it's like putting all these together still feels pretty unique. I don't know. It's really fun to look at it, and I mean, I keep running it just now playing for the last 10 or 15 minutes. I keep running into things like, oh yeah, I remember that's an interesting path to go down, or something cool is going to happen over there, or I should look into that a little. It kind of has already planted the seed of the next couple hours of gameplay in your mind in terms of what could happen, what might happen, what you might want to pursue.
You said it had been a couple of years since you went back and looked at this game. How often do you go back and look at your original works?
Not that often. I'm generally working on something new, or I generally go to older games to steal assets. Civ is a wonderful toy box. You've got military units and tanks and soldiers and buildings, and I mean, any game you want to try to make in the strategy genre, you can just pull pieces out of Civ and put it together. Plus, If you need zombies, you can go to the modders, and they've got zombies, whatever you need. So I generally go back to old games to kind of plunder their assets for a prototype or an idea that I'm working on. But when I'm making the game, I'm spending so much time playing it that kind of by the time the game is ready, I'm ready
kind of over
to
it.
move on. Yeah, but it brings back a lot of really good memories to see this game again, and especially seeing the love, I think, almost that went into creating this remake. Some cool new features, and just the way the art and the sound and everything kind of pulled together, I think is really really fun to see again.
Yeah. Well, Sid, thank you very much again for coming by. I'm a big admirer of all your stuff. You might call me your biggest Sid Meierer.
I get it.
But yeah, I'm looking forward again to Starships coming out on March 12th on PC and iOS. So you can watch IGN for more on that very soon. And yeah, thank you again for coming by. This has been great.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed looking at Pirates again.